The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. My name is Walton Han, and I founded Ring Marketing. And most of you on this call are our existing clients. And feel free to ask me any questions along the way, and simply just by putting into the questions box, and I'll respond to you right away or towards the end. If I run out of time, I'll make sure to reach out to you one by one. So let's get started. And one of the biggest reason here is I want to kind of go over online reputation with you guys. Online reputation is getting more and more important these days, even more so for the home improvement sector. So what I want to go over with you today is why you need online reviews. Next is to go over which sites should you focus on. And of course, it's going to be the big three, which are going to be Yelp, Google, and Facebook. And want to go over a framework with you how to remove negative reviews. What do you do whenever you get a negative review? I'll go over a series of steps on what you can do to get the negative review removed. And towards the end, I really want to spend a lot of time on giving you a lot of ideas how to generate more positive reviews manually and automated. So let's jump right in. Will I be sending out the deck? No, this will be recorded, so you can watch this again, Matt. Okay, so let's go over the importance of reviews. So, Matt, just to let you know, so this will be recorded, so you'll be getting the recording of this video again, so you can watch through the video again. So this is what's happening these days is even it's a referral from their neighbor, or you are doing a lot of offline marketing. Very often, they go online to check you out. So consumers do most of their initial research online these days. And what simply means is they Google you. So when somebody Googles you, you want to make sure that you are in super good standing, right? Very often, whenever people just Google you, they're not really looking for particularly your ratings. They might just be looking up your phone number. They might simply trying to get onto your website. But what's going to happen these days is they will see on first page of Google on the right hand side in the knowledge panel. These are going to be, of course, your Google reviews, and very often Yelp and Facebook and some of these third party review sites will show up prominently on first page of Google and typically above the fold before people start scrolling down. That's why you got to make sure that you have good reviews out there. What you want to emulate is this. So for example, right, R&M quality windows and doors, whenever somebody Googles them, simply again, they're just trying to look up their phone number or go on their website. Now they see tons of positive reviews on Google. Okay. Then when they go on their website, now at least they're pre-framed. Wow, RM quality windows and doors, they're legit, right? Because everybody else say they're the best. Then the closing ratio, more likely they're going to call you, and when they call you, they don't ask stupid questions. They will call and schedule appointment right away. Another example here is very often what's going to happen is even if they gone to your website and or they saw one of your offline direct mail pieces or anything, very often they're gonna go on Google, they will type in your brand name plus reviews. So they might type in ABC Windows reviews, right? Renewal by Interset reviews. Then all of the review sites will also pop up again. Me personally, I will not do business with Henson's because, right, Yelp only 1.8 stars, they're on Ripoff Report, Facebook only 1.7 stars. So the higher the ticket size, the more likely they're going to do a lot more homework. And how they do homework these days is they're looking for review sites just to see how credible you are. So this is just some stats. 80% of American consumers say they trust online reviews as much as personal recommendation. This is a huge deal, 80%, right? And very often, 80% already know they will do business with you when they contact you if you have good reviews, right? Again, they're doing a lot more homework before they call you these days. When they call you, they kind of already know whether they're going to do business with you or not, right? Nothing new. And this is before I go over the details with you, is really do be careful out there. There are a lot of these so-called reputational online reputation management companies, and they typically cold call you, or they send you spam emails telling you they can help you get more positive reviews. They can help you get negative reviews removed. They can hide your reviews. Of course, none of those tactics work. Be very careful. Those are very, very shady practices. What I'm teaching you today is totally 100% legit way. Nothing here is spammy at all. You gotta be taking matters into your own hands to beef up the reviews. And there's so many review sites out there, and the big three are going to be Yelp, Google, and Facebook. So these three, you definitely want to make sure you're driving reviews there. At the same time, you're monitoring them along with all these other sites out there. So for you, my recommendation simply just Google your own brand name and see what review sites show up on the first page and the second page. And most likely it's going to be these, right? Over here. So I want to go over and talk about the big three. It's going to be Yelp, Google, and Facebook. And the reason I will spend a lot more time on Yelp is not because, right, Yelp is more important than Google. It's not. But just Yelp is always on the forefront of review system. It has very, very stringent filter in place, and its system is the most complicated. It's always on the forefront. And Google typically follows Yelp's algorithm on the review system. So that's why I want to cover Yelp first and really deep dive into it. It's mainly just so that way this is a prediction of what's going to come with Google and Facebook as far as reviews go. So let's first of all talk about why is Yelp too big ignored. First of all, is anytime, right, you Google your own brand name, Yelp always more or less show up on the first page of Google. Even if you're in your area, let's say in the Midwest, for example, Angie's List might be a little bit more popular compared to Yelp. But again, Yelp shows up on Google, right? Typically very, very highly placed. And typically, Google also, not on purpose, but Yelp typically shows up highly on a search term. So for example, if you type in San Francisco windows, for example, Yelp always shows up highly. Again, nothing we can do about it. It's just Yelp website is so strong that very often it shows up highly organically. So if you have a lot of good reviews on Yelp, you get ranked very well. But one other thing here is, besides Google, Bing and Yahoo, about a third of the population do use Bing or Yahoo still. And if they go on Bing or Yahoo, Bing and Yahoo no longer has its own review system. They stopped that a few years ago. It chose to partner up with Yelp. So anytime somebody goes on Bing, they are looking for example, replacing Windows, window covering and on. In this section here, the local business search, it's getting pulled directly from Yelp. It's not getting pulled from Bing or Yahoo. They don't have review system anymore. Again, that's why you got to pay attention to Yelp. And Yelp is free, right? You don't need to be paying for advertisements. The ranking within Yelp is actually very, very simple. Typically, it's based on two things. One is solely based on number of positive reviews you have, the quantity and the quality, of course. So those with the 5 stars, the most quantity, they're gonna be ranked right at the top, followed by distance away from you, that searcher away from you. So one homework for you, right, is just to see in those targeted areas that you do business in. Go on Yelp.com. For example, if you do replacement windows, type in replacement windows, and then set your territory, right? Let's say if you're in Southern California, you might type in Anaheim, and also put in a few nearby cities, and kind of get a gist of where you are ranking in those cities, and see who is ranked higher than you do. And very often, you and I cannot control the distance. But very often, if you have a lot more reviews, that does trump sometimes the distance as well. Okay, so really do focus a little bit more because Yelp is free. You don't need to to advertise. And many small businesses like carpet cleaning, you can see some of them. They don't even have websites. All they have is a outstanding tons of reviews on Yelp, and they're able to get a lot of business just coming from Yelp. And just share with you some fun stats here. So Yelp, you probably know they're public traded company. So they do have a lot of stats they publish. So you can see the amount of reviews being left on Yelp cumulatively keeps on growing year to year. Not a surprise to you. Okay. But interesting here is, to me, reviews are the best form of credibility and social proof. If you have a lot of good reviews, what you might want to consider is adding a badge onto your website, a Yelp badge. You can easily go on biz.yelp.com and then scroll a little bit to the bottom on the left-hand side. You can grab a code and then put it on your website. And it might look something similar to this. And it automatically updates number of reviews you have on Yelp. Me personally, if I went on Piali Heating and Air Conditioning, I saw this badge, 125 reviews, 5 stars, I'm sold. I don't even need to do any more homework because everybody else did their best. And that's why if you have good reviews on Yelp, you gotta show it off. Okay. Yep, Kerry, will do. Okay, so a lot of you are actually asking for slides. I will send you guys the slides. Okay, I typically don't send out the slides. The webinar is recorded, but I'll send you guys the slides. Just don't distribute it, please. So I'll make sure to send it. Send Matt and Carrie, you guys asked for it. I'll make sure to send it to you. You guys are clients already. No big deal. Okay, and let's go over a little more substance here about Yelp reviews. Specifically, let's talk about Yelp reviews now. So typically is once you go on Yelp, and typically, for example, R&M over here, they have 87 reviews, 4.5 stars. But typically what frustrates business owners or marketing managers is they actually have a lot more reviews they're just not getting accounted for. A lot of these reviews, they're actually getting filtered out. And that frustrates all of us. Why in the world would Yelp filter out these reviews? It just doesn't make sense. Why would they? Right? And I want to go over this with you in depth because Google, Facebook, all these review sites, they will try to emulate this as they get more and more mature. So let's talk about why would Yelp filter out reviews. One of the thing here is, before we talk about why, is most business owners are frustrated. They typically would say Yelp only filter out positive reviews, but that's not true. Yelp does filter out both positive and negative reviews. Very often they do filter more negative reviews than positive reviews as well. And it's not just particularly attacking you. It is everybody experience the same thing because it's an automated um, algorithm, right? There's no human being sitting there. It's a legit one, it's a non-legit one. It's just a algorithm. So it's fair. Everybody gets treated exactly the same. Down to the point, if you do pay for Yelp advertisements, same thing. You don't get any special treatments at all. And Yelp is very public about this, right? It has a page on there that specifically say advertisers get no special treatment, right? It's automated software, okay? But let's talk, why would Yelp filter out reviews, both bad, good, and bad reviews? What it's trying to do is it's a very, very conservative filter. It's trying to be overly conservative and then not. So it's trying to be super careful. When in doubt, it filters out. Again, when in doubt, it filters out. So what is it filtering out? It's the big thing here, first of all, is trying to make sure it's business owners, they're not opening up bunch of fake accounts, right? So let's say I'm a shady business owner. I open up 30 fake Yelp accounts, leave myself 5-star reviews. While I'm there, why don't I leave negative reviews for my competitors? Right? That's what most business owners, right? Right? They will think about that, and some of them really do this. So how can Yelp basically know this is going on? So the only thing it can really do is make sure that if it's a Yelp account that is inactive, right? If somebody open up a Yelp account, stop using it, then those reviews will be filtered out. It just means it's no longer getting used. Even though it's a real, legit account, once it went dormant, all of the reviews being left from that Yelp account will be hidden, will be filtered, unfortunately. But once that person started using their Yelp account, those reviews that got filtered out, they'll be surfaced again. Okay, so that's one thing. Again, you and I cannot control. We cannot call up our customers. Hey, can you stop? Can you start using your Yelp account again? Another thing we can do to control that. Okay, but it's just trying to be overly conservative. Make sure those reviews are active Yelpers. And typically, right, very little history, incomplete profile, right? Very few reviews. Typically, those will be filtered out. And how can you prevent, right? There's a couple strategies you can do to prevent Yelp filters. Okay. One is make sure the reviews being left, they're not all coming from the same internet connection, same IP address. And this typically happens in auto repair shops, dental offices. They have a desktop computer they leave at the front desk, and anytime you're leaving, they'll ask you, "Hey, can you please leave us a 5-star review?" And and right, for example, Yelp doesn't like it when you do that, so all those reviews will be filtered out. So make sure if somebody's leaving you reviews, it's still fine to ask, is make sure they use their own internet connection to leave your reviews. Also, typically reviews will be filtered out if they're all being left in a short period amount of time. And that could be an indication that you're bribing for reviews. So make sure you're pacing, right? That's why this is not an overnight thing you suddenly pump, right? Let's say you have 30 reviews right now. In a short amount of time, let's say you send a huge email blast to all of your to your email list. Suddenly, from 30 reviews, you went up by another 30 reviews. Now you have 60 reviews. But all those 30 reviews all came in 1 or 2 weeks. Unfortunately, those will all be filtered out. That's why you have to pace your way. And most business owners would complain that people only leave negative reviews online, and that's not true. So this is Yelp's rating distribution, not that different than Google or Facebook. It's all more or less similar. The reviews being left online, majority are going to be positive, right? 68% are positive, 9% are neutral, and only 23% are going to be negative in nature. Okay, so don't be afraid of these online reputations. You just gotta be getting a system going to make sure you're getting more positive reviews and you're trying to minimize these negative reviews from even occurring. So it's very easy to log into Yelp. It's not yelp.com, it's biz.yelp.com, biz.yelp.com. Once you log in, is on the left hand side, if you want to update your business information, you go into business information. If you want to add more photos, of course, you go to photos and videos. And if you want to grab the review badge, it's over here, review badges. But under reviews, if you hit reviews, now you will see a lot of buttons for each of the review. So let's go over the buttons along with, let's say, if you get a positive review, the least you should do is to thank them, right? That person went out of their way and go on Yelp and left your review. You should definitely thank them. So what I would do if I were you is first of all log into your Yelp account, find that review, and hit thank. And that person will get a notification that you just thanked them. Next, I would send a direct message. The direct message is privately messaging that person. So again, I would thank them for leaving you a review, and hopefully now they will also refer you businesses, right? And then, so that's step one, is respond privately. Step two is to share this positive review. And Yelp makes it super easy. Is all you have to do is hit the little three dots and then click on share review. Once you click on it, right, it will open this up. You can just hit Facebook and it will automatically post on Facebook. If you hit share on Twitter, it will automatically share on Twitter. So it's super easy. So let's talk about, so that's for positive reviews, right? Again, thank them and share the review. Let's talk about if you do get a negative review, what should you do? And this is similar framework for Yelp, Google, Facebook, doesn't matter. It's a similar framework. So there's, first of all, is there's a reason why people leave negative reviews is they want to be heard, right? And that to me is the biggest disconnect between businesses and homeowners. Homeowners go on there to vent, hoping somebody from the business will reach out to them. Their main intention is just to be heard, and hopefully somebody will call them and address it offline. But that's the biggest disconnect. Business owners, they're not always looking out, they're not watching after the reviews. So that's why you got to make sure you're monitoring these reviews. Anytime you got a negative review, this is the framework you have to follow. And I really do want you to do not skip the steps. Step zero is so critical. You gotta cool down. We all, right, are pride of the services we provide. So you gotta cool down first, right? So go grab drink of water, right? Go grab drink of water, come back. And then step one is now you want to directly message that person. So how you do that is similarly is go to reviews. Then you want to click on direct message. Direct message privately messaging that person that you did indeed sell this negative review. You want to acknowledge this. And acknowledging this is when you send them a direct message, They will see it, of course, but at the same time is you're documenting this within Yelp system. Now you basically are telling Yelp, I do care. I am reaching out to this homeowner to repair the damage. So this is so critical. This will help you when you go into step 3 to hit the little red flag. Um, Now Yelp will take this into consideration. Okay, so you want to send a direct message to document this. Then of course you want to take this offline. You want to call up the homeowner and see whether this is miscommunication. You can go back and repair the damage. Very often, this is what's going to happen is these are 1-star reviews that all turn back to 5-star reviews. This happen all the time. So for example, right, this used to be 1-star. It got moved up to 5-star. And look at this. Owner called and apologized for what happened and took ownership of the fault of his employee. Exactly what an owner should do. To err is human. Who doesn't? Definitely giving him another chance just because the owner was a gentleman. If I am homeowner and I saw this, I'm like, wow, the owner is on top of things. If something goes wrong, the owner is always there to repair the damage, right? So this is actually even better than a typical 5-star, right? This is a huge success story. And you gotta trust me, this really happens all the time. It just, right? You have to really work your way to get these negative reviews repaired right away. So I know what you're thinking. You're like, hey, I did multiple times reach out to the homeowner and repair the damage, or they're not legit, right? They're not real, right? What should we do? And then step 2 is now you want to go public. Now you want to respond publicly to tell your side of the story. And the big thing here is please, when you go public, do not start a war. It's very, very dangerous. I've seen some business owners or marketing managers, they're very, very arrogant. They will respond publicly. And whenever you respond publicly, your comment resides right underneath the negative review. And you will see threads of back and forth between the business and the homeowner. And that doesn't look good at all. So typically we'll say err on the side, right? A little take the high road a little bit more, but you still gotta tell your side of the story. But be a little bit more humbled in your response. Then step 3 is now you get to flag it. Yelp now becomes the judge. It's very simple. You hit the little 3 dots and then report it for review. When you hit the flag, now there's drop-down menu based on the circumstances, and you get to put specifically your side of the story. Okay. Again, as I mentioned, Yelp typically will not take down reviews unless it knows that you did indeed reach out to the homeowner and try to repair the damage offline. That's why step 1 is so critical. Okay. So again, this is a framework. Gotta cool down. Then you want to log into your Yelp account, send a direct message or private message to the homeowner just to document the process. Then you definitely want to call them and address it offline. If they won't budge, then we'll move it up to 5-star. Then we'll follow up with a public comment. Then immediately you can go in there and flag it. Okay, so this is the framework here. So that's specifically for Yelp, not that different for Google, right? Facebook, any of these network. So let's move on and talk about Facebook here. Even if you're not active on social media, right? If you're not regularly posting on Facebook, but people can still go on your Facebook page and leave you positive or negative reviews. Even if you deleted your Facebook page, Facebook automatically will still generate a Facebook page for you. Okay. So with Facebook is once somebody goes on your Facebook page easily, they can just leave your reviews. So make sure you're also on top, you're monitoring, and you're actually asking for reviews on Facebook as well. Then Google, of course, right? It's so easy for people to see your Google reviews. Anytime somebody Googles you on the knowledge panel, this is called the knowledge panel, people will see your reviews. So make sure, right, you have good reviews on Google. And this is kind of interesting, is I'm just curious, even when somebody do not know a home improvement company to call, they might, for example, type in Mammy replacing windows, right? For example, or Clearwater windows. And then in local search, you have 3 business listings that shows up and sometimes with an ad. But it's not just about ranking, right? Once you're ranked in the 3 pack, people see your ratings right away. Which one would you call first? Me personally, I might call like Clearwater first, right? Just by the sheer amount of reviews they have. And I might maybe call up the second one. Okay. So again, this reviews really do matter. And very often what you will see is, right, somebody in position 3 down here might have a lot more reviews compared to somebody in the first ranking. So really, at the end of the day, it's no longer just about rankings. It's how many reviews you have that will drive the phone calls. So to manage your Google reviews, super easy. You go on google.com/business. Then if you want to update, for example, your information, right, you hit info. If you want to add photos, you go on there, but this is reviews. So hit reviews, then you get to respond to these reviews. The only difference between Google and Yelp is Yelp you get to follow through with step 1 is to privately message them within Yelp. With Google, unfortunately, you cannot do a private message. So what you will do is still follow suit with step 1, which is you will need to call them right away, and hopefully they can change your mind and move it up to 5-star. If not, then you follow suit with step 2. That's when you leave a public comment and then you flag it. Okay, and step 1 is you cannot send them messages directly. That's why you need to make sure you're calling them. Okay, and then you can always hit the little red flag after you post it publicly. Okay, so let's talk about strategies, just give you ideas on how to get more reviews. And it's very different compared to restaurants, right? With restaurants, they get hundreds of people that walk in and out every single week. Without even asking, people are trained more or less to leave reviews already. In the home improvement sector, you do unfortunately have to ask for reviews. But asking for reviews now gets a little bit dangerous based on the network. So let me go over 3 major things that you gotta watch out for. First thing here is all of these major third-party review sites, it's against their terms and conditions to be bribing for reviews. Bribing could be as simple as, right, if you leave me a review, I'll give you a $25 Starbucks gift card. That happens a lot in the good old days. A lot of home improvement companies do that. That's why, right, suddenly you'll see some home improvement companies, especially in the Bay Area, they have, right, more than 1,000 reviews. And that's not normal at all. So they artificially inflated the reviews by giving away gift cards. Okay, definitely do not do that. That is definitely against their terms and conditions. If these networks found out, they're gonna shut down your account, or it's even more shameful. They put a big red banner on top of your listing to tell people you're bribing for reviews. That to me is even worse. So that's the first thing, no on bribing. it doesn't mean you couldn't ask on Google, for example. Okay. Second thing here is in April 2018, this has been out for almost a couple years, but most people still do not know this, is you're not allowed to gate reviews. Gating means is you shouldn't only be shouldn't only be asking positive experienced homeowners for leaving you reviews. So, but how would Google know, right? It's hard for Google to know this. So I would still recommend you make sure that you're asking people to rate and review you on Google. So this algorithm is a little harder for Google to know whether you're asking only positive or right or everybody. But Yelp is the most stringent of all. Yelp has a huge crackdown October 2017. Is they don't want you to ask for reviews. It basically got out of hand, right? There's so many companies with thousands of reviews. That's not normal. So Yelp basically put their foot down. You're not allowed to ask for reviews, period. Verbally asking, emailing, nothing. You're not allowed to ask for reviews. Google, totally fine. You're still allowed to ask for reviews. It's just you're not allowed to bribe for reviews. Yelp just, you cannot ask, period. But how would Yelp know? Right? So if you're sending out emails, of course it's traceable. If it's on your website, it's traceable. Okay. But you're just verbally asking, Yelp wouldn't know. Okay. So let me give you some pointers as to how to get more reviews. The most critical thing I will still say is call after the service is completed. Have the office manager call just to check in, right? It's a good aftercare, after service call. I just ask them, basically try to get a pulse whether they're happy or not. If they're not happy, you just stopped a negative review from going online because you reach out to them first. And hopefully you can go back and then repair the damage. And I still see only a small fraction of businesses do call after service. That is to me so critical. So I would say call after service. If they're not happy, you're able to stop the negative review. If they're happy, then you will ask them, can I send you can you go on Google and leave us a review? Can I email you, right, a link to leave us a review? Okay, so calling is the most critical. Second thing here you might want to do, I'm seeing more and more um, home improvement companies do this is by texting. So what they do is installer after the final walkthrough, if you do have a walkthrough, is they will basically ask, right, the homeowner, hey, do you mind if I can text you a link to leave us a rating? And since they're just right beside you and you just text them a link, now on the spot, they got no choice to leave you a review. So I see more and more um, installers do this. That's how you can see some companies, they really do leverage texting. You can easily do this, right? You can just, hey, can I text you a link? And that link goes directly to Google and they can leave you reviews. So that's the second tip. I would definitely, instead of incentivizing incentivizing the homeowners, you should be incentivizing the installers to ask for reviews. Okay. Again, texting them, you should be only texting them a link to Google. You cannot send them a link to Yelp. Okay? Yelp would know that you're bribing or you're asking for reviews. And the other thing here is when you do send an email, of course, it's fine to embed a Google link on there directly to your Google page. Yelp, of course, you cannot ask for reviews. So there's a little trick around this. Because if you put a link on in your email, Yelp would know. So what you do is you walk the homeowner through the steps on how to leave your reviews. So it's kind of like a cheat sheet. Step 1, open a new browser. Step 2, type in yelp.com. Step 3, search for ABC Window Company. Step 4, leave us a review. So you can see you're just walking them through, so it seems organically they're leaving a review. Okay, so these are all manually, and these are so critical. No automation tools out there will surpass these, and I will still say this is the most critical. Then let's talk about automation. Again, automation does not replace manual reach. So there's more and more of these review tools out there. Most of you are my clients. You have a tool with us. There's Bird Eye. There's a lot of tools out there that you might heard of. They all more or less function exactly the same. Is they're monitoring all the major review sites out there. Whenever you get a negative or positive review, they send you an email. They alert you, right? And all these tools, more or less, they function the same. Is anytime a service is done, all you have to do is enter in the homeowner's name and email, and then it will automatically send out surveys on behalf of you. And it's very easy, right? Are you happy or are you not happy, right? If they hit thumbs up, it brings them to a page that looks like this. It's multiple choices. Do you want to leave a review on Google, Facebook? No Yelp, right? Yelp used to be on here before the crackdown. So now we already removed Yelp from here. So if you're still using one of these review tools, if you're clients of ours, of course, you don't have to check this. We already removed Yelp from here. It doesn't mean we're not monitoring Yelp, right? We're still monitoring Yelp. It's just we don't put Yelp on here to solicit reviews. Okay, so make sure if you're using one of these automation tools, Yelp is not on here. And also, if they hit thumbs down, then of course, you want them not to be able to go online and leave you a negative review. So how these automation tools used to work is if hit thumbs down, a form will pop up. Now they get to vent through the form. But remember I talked about Google review gating. Review gating is specifically addressing this. If you hit thumbs down, you still need a way for them to see Google, to go on Google and leave you a negative review. So just to satisfy Google's right algorithm these days, if they do hit thumbs down, then they still should be able to see the same thing. But just down here we say, if you have any concerns we want to know, please contact us so we can rectify this issue right away. And they will hit contact us. Now the form will pop up. Then that is totally fine. But what we do is actually in the email itself that's being sent out. I don't have an example here. The email itself that's being sent out, on there it's written, hey, if you're not happy with the service, this is my contact information. Call me right away. If you're happy, go on, click here and leave us a review. And that is totally fine from Google's point of view. Even though that's review gating, but that's customer service, right? If you're not happy, I want to know. Okay, so we do the review gating within the email itself. Okay, and these survey tools, typically they'll more or less, again, function the same, is if that person doesn't open the email, a gentle request will be sent out on the 3rd day, and a final request will be sent out on the 7th day, right? Just more touches here, okay? And these tools, you can embed the reviews. It streams in all the positive reviews you have, and then you get to embed that onto your website. And that actually looks super darn awesome, right? If somebody, instead of somebody exiting off a website to check out how good you are, these tools stream in all the positive reviews in for you. So whenever somebody goes on testimonials, they're seeing all the positive reviews you have already. Okay, so that's why these tools, it's a huge plus for you. But again, you still gotta be asking for reviews. Okay, so let me sum up and let me answer quite a bit of questions here. Okay, so for sure you gotta be monitoring the major review sites, which are going to be Google, Yelp, and Facebook. These three. Make sure internally you have a SOP, a checklist, or workflow on how to respond to negative reviews right away. Really, is within that 24-hour window, you got to respond to it right away. And of course, create a system to ask for positive reviews, whether it's incentivizing installers to text somebody while they're there or call them right after service is done. You got to have a framework right away. And typically, my suggestion here, the question on here, one of the question here is, when should we be asking? I will typically say, literally, right, the day after the service is done, you should be calling right away. Before you close out the file, you definitely need to be calling them just to check in with them. And definitely, ultimately, reviews will continue to grow in importance as mobile technology grows. It's so easy for somebody to see your reviews, right? Especially all they have to do is just Google you. Positive reviews will drive social proof, and it's really is this social proof is just as much as a personal recommendation, right? Okay, it ultimately drives sales. Okay, so that's the main thing here. And for sure, I just want to give you a heads up. Google reviews itself, if you're strictly talking about rankings within the 3-pack, it is called the 3-pack here. Reviews last year only account for about 20% of the ranking juice to see who should be ranking here, only about 20%. But bet you this year it's going to at least creep up to about a third or more. Because it doesn't make sense. Why would why would Google be promoting a subpar business? So that's another reason why is if you have difficulty in getting ranked in one of these three businesses without paying for it, right? Organically, you're getting ranked in here. If you have difficulty getting ranked in here, very often these days, it's going to be reviews. Okay. So let me open up for some Q&A. I'll just grab 2 or 3 questions here, randomly here, and I'll reach out to all of you guys one by one. So first question here is, okay, how about Houzz, Houzz.com? So I didn't talk a lot about a few sites here, and those it's going to be Houzz.com, Angie's List, and believe it or not, another site that's no longer that new, it's going to be Nextdoor.com. These three are also just as critical because all these 3 platforms, same thing, people can go on there, leave you positive or negative reviews. I'm only covering the big 3, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't be monitoring Houzz, right? Angie's List and Home Advisor, right? People can go on there, even your YP.com, even if they're not, even if you're no longer advertising in the print yellow pages, people can still leave your reviews on your YP.com listing. So I would definitely say all of them are just as critical. It just if you only have so much time to be asking for reviews, I will still say if you only have right so much time, I will still focus on Google. Really have to beef up more Google reviews a little bit more. Eventually, Google will catch up. If you look at the progression, Google came in a little bit late in the review world. Yelp came out much earlier than Google. So what Google right now, if you look at this, it's still very easy to scam and or spam Google reviews, right? You still can buy reviews. You still can use different IP addresses. It's still a lot of things. We don't do any black hat stuff, right? But it's still very easy to spam Google's review system. But what if you kind of study Google? it's not Google is stupid. Google knows that people are artificially inflating the reviews. It's trying to get to a threshold that now more homeowners do go on Google to look at reviews versus Yelp. Then it's really going to make the filter very, very stringent, similar to Yelp. It's going to start filtering out right a lot of negative fake reviews, things like that. It's every time it does its algorithm update, slowly it does penalize here and then wash out some fake reviews. It's doing this slowly, but bet you it's gonna come very, very hard. It's gonna really so don't despair if your competitors are doing a lot of fake stuff. Okay. Okay. The next question here is my competitors are doing they have a lot of fake reviews. What can I do? Okay. It's actually not hard. Let me show you here. Okay. I'm just gonna, I don't know, just gonna look for, I'm here in Las Vegas. Okay. I'm just gonna use a totally different industry just to drive the message across. Okay, if I go to Las Vegas, I'm looking for auto repair shop. Okay, and then for example, okay, just purely example. Let's say this is one of my competitor, and I'm suspicious they have a lot of fake reviews. Okay, so what you do is you can actually do a few things here. One is you can click on this person, Albert. Okay, and you can see Albert's reviews and see whether this is a real person or not, right? Very often, if it's not, majority reviews are not being left locally, it's spread across. Very often, it's just a fake review, right? It's basically agency just posting fake reviews everywhere, okay? And if this were a fake account, what you do is very simple. Let me show you. Okay, let me go back here again. Okay, let's say this person, right, potentially could be a fake one, and you just basically just go ahead and flag it. Okay, so yes, but these are real, of course. Okay, so it's very easy to identify whether it's a real person or not, and those with something called local guide typically means they're similar to Yelp. These are frequent Yelpers. If they have local guide, typically they are real. Okay. But again, if you sense they're not real, then same thing, hit the little three dots. I'm not gonna do this and flag as inappropriate. And then somebody internally within Google will look at this and then take it down. Okay. Awesome. So I just have a few more questions, and these are very specific questions to your business. I will reach out to you one by one. Okay, and I'll be doing more webinars like this. If we're not on the road, I'll do this every 2 weeks, and I'll let you know. And if you don't know, if you follow me on social media, I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, all these Twitter. I do one video a day. So make sure to follow me on social media, and you'll always get the most updated news on what's going on. Okay, and Carrie, I'll respond to your question shortly. Okay, thank you, everybody. I will see you next time. Bye bye.